Howdy friends, welcome back to the Outpost. It is a bitterly 7 degrees Fahrenheit here in Western Kentucky. The entire region has been under a state of emergency because of the weather conditions, and that's why we haven't been able to do a whole lot here because it is cold. Nobody wants to be outside, so I decided to start digging around in some of the old stuff on the property that was left here, and I came across some really cool rare finds. We're going to take them inside the cabin and I'll show you what we got. Alright, so we are up in the new cabin, which we are not finished with. We're still living in the camper and stuff. A lot of little things have gone on in the past couple, 2-3 months that have caused us to kind of like have to step back and hold up on finishing the build. One thing is the holidays, the short days, the bad weather, all that other good stuff. Not to mention living in small town America where it is very difficult to get those kind of building materials that we need to finish this project. We'll talk about that later. But a day like today, where there's not a whole lot going on, it looks beautiful outside, but it's just so bitterly cold, I started rooting around like up underneath the old camper and stuff like that, and then other little areas, and tried to look at some of the stuff that got left behind from the old owners. Alright, the first item that I dug up out from underneath the old camper that used to be here from the old owners and stuff like that was this vintage rake. Now if you look carefully at this, it's just a rake, Tim. No, it's not. This thing, the craftsmanship, just the way that this put together, look at the framework and how it ties into this handle and stuff. The handle is all intact. It's all one piece. It does have a couple little cracks on it. It's a little bit warped and everything. There's a couple little prongs that broke off over the years and stuff, but they do not make these anywhere near the way they made this. Thing's got to be at least 40, 50, maybe 60 years old, old vintage rake. A lot of people think would probably toss something like this out, but in this case, this is a vintage classic collector's item. Pretty cool stuff. Okay, the next item that I ran across while digging through old stuff here at the Outpost is this old camp axe, or it's a hatchet, whatever you want to call it. It was completely covered with rust. The handle has got a bit of a crack to it and stuff, but it's in pretty good shape. I tried to clean it up as good as I can. Let's get a close-up of this. It's only got one word on there. There's no other identification for it, but you'll be able to see this thing is definitely vintage, and it's been around for a long time. Let's take a little closer look at the blade on this camp axe, this hatchet. You can see that forged steel on there. That's roughened. It's had a lot of age and wear. The blade seems to be in pretty decent shape. And only one word on there, then when I cleaned it up, right in this area says Collins. So that doesn't tell me anything about the age or anything. The handle has got a decent size split down there. It's been around. This thing was completely covered in probably about an 1/8 inch of rust, so I did clean it up, but this is a really nice find. It's solid, it's super heavy. It's just something that you just run across and say, listen, this is cool. It's too cool to throw out or just leave it go to nothing. So another really cool find right here at the Outpost. Okay, so I got 2 more items that I ran across. We haven't even been through all the stuff in here. This is just for a couple hours of digging around on the property of some old stuff that got left behind from previous owners and stuff. I think you might like this one. Check it out. We found a classic Coleman propane lantern. Woohoo! Now these things are highly collectible. I'm not thinking that it's worth a lot of money at this point. There's even collector clubs out there and people that know all about these things. But it was in with a bunch of other stuff that I haven't got a chance to go through everything underneath one of the campers here at the Outpost. And it's cool in so many different ways. We're going to get a closer up look at the thing, and I'm going to explain to you what model it is and what year range we think this is from. One of the best things about this find that I've seen, at least up to this point, it's all intact. Everything is here. There isn't missing parts. The only thing that's not on here are the mantles, but you can buy them and stuff. The clips are even here, which is it's unbelievable. They would find something like this that's been laying around in the middle of nowhere that's still got all the original parts to it. I'll tell you exactly what the model is on here. We'll put a camera view down there. Check it out. This Coleman propane lantern is a double burner, and it's a model 5114. It is made entirely in the USA. All right, and it's made by Coleman for Coleman. Now, Coleman made a lot of products for different companies like Sears and Roebuck and a bunch of other things, but this is straight up a Coleman. And the time date stamp, when I looked this up, these particular models were made between the year 1973 and 1985, which already puts 20, 30, almost 40, up to almost 50 years. And just the sheer fact that this thing was sitting here on the property that I bought, and it's still, for the most part, in great shape, and it's all put together and can be used. All right, even this top piece comes off of here. Those folks out there, I know you've got a lot of people that collect these things. This is really a cool find in my opinion. The top does come out here. The glass, the globe, made out of Pyrex, all US parts, everything in shape. Even look at this. The original mantle clips are in here. Can you see that? Little clips that hold the globe mantles on there. They're in here. A double burner assembly. This is really, really well made. The only thing that is kind of cheap is the base part, which is made out of plastic, and if you look underneath there, that's where you'd put your propane cylinder and everything. But all in all, for something that's just laying around for all these years, and we know that it was from 1973 up to 1985, to have this thing put together in that manner and have it almost complete with no missing parts is an unbelievable find. All right, for the next couple finds, we're outside in front of the cabin. Check this out. Not one, but two vintage milk jugs dating back to the earliest of 1900. And the only writing I can see inscribed on the one is on the one on the left that says Buhl, B-U-H-L, Detroit, and it's a 40-quart container. Both of them are. It's really, there's certain ways you can date these cans. I haven't done them yet, but how cool of a find are these? These are things that are highly sought after. Nobody's ruined them by fixing them up and painting them and all that stuff. These are original, real deal things found here at the Outpost, not online, not at a swap meet or a pawn shop or anything, right here on the property. Cool. Wow, some pretty neat stuff we found so far, and I've only just got started. There's lots of other things that are laying around on the property that I haven't gotten to, but I saved the best for last. Check this out. Okay, all you history buffs out there in the viewing audience, if you ever seen something like this, please tell me. I found this wrapped up in some old newspaper, hanging out in a box. It was all crumbled and whatever from years and years, up underneath one of the campers here at the Outpost. And first thing I thought was, oh look, it looks like an old pressure cooker. Wrong. This here is actually a vintage cookware. Okay, it's not a pressure cooker. It's like an old mess tin. All right. I've heard them called pie savers, cake savers. It's 5 multiple layers on here that all come apart like an old mess kit and everything. I was able to date this thing out. I found some writing on here. We were able to do the research and everything. This thing is much more vintage and classic than I ever imagined, and it's such great shape. It's got some tarnish on and a couple little dings to it, but it's all here. Let me show you this. This handle pops off the top like so, and it comes apart. This being the top part, look at how good a shape that is. Look how new that looks. This is almost like a plate. So you could go out camping with a bunch of friends and everything, and everybody's got their own plate. Or you could carry your food in, serve up everybody. There's 4 bowls. And then you have the actual frying pan, or it's got a long handle on it that can be hung over top of fire to cook a meal and everything. This is absolute classic vintage stuff. I want to show you the stamp on the top. This is a Buckeye product by Mardesian Corp, Wooster, Ohio, quality aluminum. All right, let me explain to you the history on this particular piece. The Buckeye product Mardesian Corporation actually started in Ohio, Wooster, Ohio, in 1900. And all the way up until about the mid-40s, 1940s, it went underneath that brand. They made several different cookware, saucepans, you name it, all that good stuff. But around 1945 or so, the Regal Company purchased this cookware. And they continued making these for different companies and all that other good stuff. But they all, at that point onwards, went underneath the name Regal, which is telling me that this product, this Coal Miner's Picnic Pack, dates anywhere from 1900 to 1945, somewhere in that area. That is true vintage. And fact being that it was here on this property, put together, it's not really ideal to put in your pack and go camping with and stuff, but just the sheer fact of seeing and finding one of these, I did look it up, I think somewhere online, eBay or whatever, they're going and starting at around $79, which is not that much money, but is more of a collector's item than anything. This is real solid aluminum, and you just can't beat it, and you're going to be hard pressed to kind of find something, especially on your property. This is really cool stuff. Well, that's going to do it for this one. Thank you so much for hanging out and watching the video. So many really cool things out there. Sometimes you have to just go out there and look and try to find things. None of these products that I discovered came from being online or anything like that. These are vintage products that was found right here on the property when I bought it. And who knows what you have laying around on your property. You may end up finding things that are just invaluable that you don't want to sell or get rid of and pass them down to generations, anywhere from a classic Coleman lantern to a vintage cookware. They're out there to be found. Got any comments, questions, leave them down below. Until next time, I'll see you on the Outpost.